Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law Schoolers, and this week is actually a really exciting week. It's the first year trial practicum, and Drake is the only law school that does the first year trial practicum. Pretty much all it is, it's an opportunity for the first year law students to go and watch a trial for the entire week, from start to finish, from the jury selection all the way to the jury verdict and the entrance of judgment. So a lot of this is actually going to be a review, but I do want to record my experience of the of the first year trial practicum, just because I think it's a really cool experience, and it's an opportunity that not a lot of law school students get to participate in, and ultimately it's just a real learning experience, and it's an opportunity to share what I am learning with those who may not explicitly go to a trial but still want to know what trial work is like and how that is all going to work. So this episode is going to be giving a bit of the rules and expectations, kind of how first year trial practicum works. The next episode is going to be day 1. Next episode is day 2. We are actually on day 2 of the trial practicum, and I'm going to try and keep these short because we're supposed to be and we're supposed to be in our seats by 8:30, but let's just say the students are a bit excited, so we all get there too early, and if you're not there early enough, you don't get a seat. The courtroom is built large enough to fit the entire first year class, but it's still pretty tight. So I'm going to try and keep these brief, but I do want to be detailed enough to give a good overview of what the first year trial practicum looks like and how it works. So, like I said, Drake is unique in having the first year trial practicum, and it's an opportunity for the entire 1L class to watch a trial from start to finish. I do have permission to record some of these things and also to take notes and publish these on the websites, but that'll be focusing more on the how the trial works instead of focusing on why or what is going on, what the trial is. I won't focus too much on the details of the case just because I want to make sure that I stay completely in my lane. So we're going to focus more on how the trial works rather than what the trial is. So what's our schedule look like? Monday, this was a couple days ago, we talked about the history of the clinic program at Drake, which is just experiential learning. You learn through experience. And so we talked about the history of that. Drake's been doing that clinic for a very long time. And then this first year trial practicum as part of that clinic for first year students has been going on for, I think this is the 26th year. So Monday we talked about that, and then we also talked about implicit bias in the courtroom. We do have a brief homework assignment about that, where we have to take an implicit bias test as well as talk about how power in the courtroom may influence implicit bias, things like that. But that was all done Monday morning, so Monday afternoon we had off just to study and prep, and then yesterday, was day 1 of the trial. So trial starts on Tuesday. Today, Wednesday, the trial is going to continue. Thursday, it's possible that the trial is resolved, but we're not banking on it. So we also have time on Friday to finish the trial. And I'm assuming if we're supposed to be done on Thursday, that means we'll be done Friday morning. And our afternoon will be open there to go ahead and get other work done as well. So I talked about some of the rules that I was going to have for myself, specifically just focusing on the how a case works rather than what the case is. But there's a couple of additional rules that we need to talk about just for the specifics as far as what students need to follow. Students were not allowed to have contact with the jurors during the trial. We need to be careful both outside and in the courtroom about how much we discuss the case, just because we can be overheard by the jurors and we can't influence them in any way, because if we do, then that could result in a mistrial, which is something we definitely don't want to be a part of. There's some specific documents that are going to be distributed to the students, but they're only for educational use, and they are court documents, and even though the court is a public forum, some of these documents are still private, and so there's some certain documents that are going to be shared with us, the students, but we're not allowed to distribute those as well. We need to the students need to bring an ID to get into the courtroom. We can take pens and paper to take notes during the case, but we can't take laptops, and phones need to be on silent or off. And then the only drink that we should bring is water into the courtroom. Dress is business casual, leaning more towards the formal, but rather than less formal. But that's really some of the rules and expectations that students are expected to follow. I do want to mention something else that I thought was interesting, is they wanted us to be careful even with our facial expressions, because they didn't want the jury looking out into the crowd at something a witness said, at something an attorney said, and seeing like a grimace like, ooh, I don't know if that was great. But they didn't want the jury looking out into the crowd, seeing those faces, and making assumptions on the case just based off of what the law students and how the law students are reacting. So that includes even chuckling at a comment, a joke that maybe a witness said. So that's actually been one of the hardest things through yesterday. Anyways, as far as logistics go, we wanted to be in the courtroom seated by 9:30. That was just for Monday, but throughout the case, we're expected to be there at around 8:30, and then the case is going to start at 9, typically. Lunch, we have about an hour. That's up to the discretion of the judge. Today, it's going to be a bit longer just because the judge has a previous arrangement. He's presenting at a seminar. So lunch is going to be a bit longer today. Tuesday through Thursday, the students have the opportunity to have lunch with the judge. We can pretty much talk about anything as long as it's not the case. So I have lunch with the judge today. Since he has a previous arrangement, that's going to be lunch with a different judge, which will be good because that just means that we can't really talk about the case anyways. And again, there are both morning and afternoon sessions. I'm pretty much just broken up by the lunch. And students were required to take attendance for both sessions. We have to come in, we scan a QR code for both the morning and then the evening session. So that's really how the first year child practicum is going to look like and how it has looked like thus far. Ultimately, now we'll get into day one, which focused on jury selection as well as the introduction of first witnesses. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Law Schoolers. Before I let you go, there are 4 things I want to say. The first thing is if you enjoyed these episodes and if you enjoyed the website, I would invite you to go and join Law Schoolers Pro. And you can do that by going to lawschoolers.com/join. It's a way for you to support us, but there's also a lot of features there that I think you will enjoy. Second thing is that nearly all of our episodes are unedited. The only ones that aren't are pre-law materials, and the reason for that is so you can actually see the legal material in its raw form as I'm learning it as well. The third thing is that the information contained in these episodes are specifically only for educational purposes. They're not to be used as legal advice, and with that, the fourth thing is if it is used as legal advice, we are not liable. That is, Law Schoolers is not liable for any legal outcomes. Thank you again for enjoying the show. Have a good one.